2005 through 2015 Nissan Xterra spark plug replacement. I'm Brian Nesson from How to Automotive. I'm going to walk you through the steps of replacing those. To get started, we're going to remove the top engine cover. So you're going to remove the 10mm bolt here and here and lift the cover straight up and off. After getting the two bolts off, you just lift straight up like this. Next, we're going to remove the air snorkel. So we're going to remove the bolt here, and then we're going to loosen the clamp here and pull the cover off. And there's also going to be a vent line that you'll pull off right here. Now we're going to remove the throttle body, but we're not going to unplug any of the electrical connectors or hoses. So we're just going to remove the 4 bolts, and then we're going to pull it off and let it hang right here in this area. You're going to need a 5mm Allen socket. I'm going to use my little Milwaukee M12 3/8 drive ratchet here. This thing makes quick work of jobs like this. Now that you got the throttle body unbolted, just leave it right here. Now we're going to remove the vent line right here by squeezing the clamp and pulling the hose off. Now we can unplug the vacuum switch right here. And then right here on the wiring harness, there's going to be a little tab. You're going to squeeze it and push the wiring harness towards the back. And there's another tab right here. Squeeze it and then push the wiring harness out towards the back of the firewall like this. Now that that's removed, on the passenger side, there's going to be a vent line right here. So you're going to pull that off. Now we're going to remove the 12mm bolt here from the support bracket here. And there's going to be another 12mm bolt right here that we're going to remove. After unbolting the support bracket, we're going to come over here and unbolt the vacuum storage canister. There's just one bolt here. We're going to unbolt it and flip it out of our way. Once it's unbolted, we're going to leave all the vacuum lines hooked up, connected to it, and just push it out of our way. Now at the back of the intake, we're going to unbolt this little bracket that was underneath the wiring harness. There's going to be 2 10mm bolts, and then once you get them unbolted, you're just going to push the wiring harness and bracket back towards the firewall. Now we can remove the 10mm bolt here, 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 and here. I believe there's 7 in total, and you push the wiring harness to get to the one in the very back. Now that it's unbolted, you can push the wiring harness in the back and then lift the plenum straight up and pop it out. There's going to be one more hose we need to get to. So you're going to pull it forward, and then you can get to the brake booster hose right here and pop it off. So this is what the plenum is going to look like once you get it out. You're going to leave everything hooked up, like I said, all the vacuum lines and stuff. And we're going to change out the gaskets from the throttle body and the intake portion of it right here. And I'll leave a link in the description of the video for all the parts. Now we're ready to take the coils out. So what I like to do is unbolt them and lift them up. And then once you get them up, you can unplug the electrical connectors and then finish pulling the coils out and set them aside on your bench. After removing the 3 coils on this side, 1, 3, and 5, make your way over to the driver's side of the engine and remove 2, 4, and 6. And you can unbolt the coils and set those aside. So the coils on this side have really long wires, and you can actually pull the coils out with them connected and just kind of set them up here, and then you can get to the spark plugs. Now you can go ahead and remove the 3 spark plugs on the driver's side and then the 3 spark plugs on the passenger side. I'm going to do this by using hand tools. I don't recommend you use power tools. Using power tools on aluminum cylinder heads can be dangerous. You can pull the threads out of the cylinder head, so I do it all by hand. So I'm just using a standard 5/8 socket and about a 6-inch extension and a flex head ratchet. So I'm going to use NGK spark plugs. I'll leave a link in the description of the video for these. So when you get these, they come pre-gapped. I don't recommend that you gap them. The tip on these spark plugs are so fine, and if you tried to gap them, you would damage them. So if you think the gap is off, I recommend you send the spark plugs back and get new ones. Also, if you look at the old spark plugs, there's no anti-seize or anything like that on the threads. So I recommend you put these back in dry with nothing on the threads. So we're going to screw the spark plugs in until they bottom out. Then you'll crank your ratchet about a half turn to 2/3 of a turn more. And then you'll feel that crush washer crush down. Once again, we're going to screw it in by hand until it bottoms out. We're not going to use any power tools. So now you're going to put your ratchet on it, and you're going to turn the ratchet about a half turn or so more, about that, like that, and you'll feel that washer crush down. You want to be careful not to over tighten it, so don't bear down on it. And once you get that done, you'll repeat the process for the rest of the spark plugs. Now that you got them all start it, you can put your coils back in and bolt those up. I put in a couple new ones over here that were underneath the intake manifold due to the misfiring, and you couldn't really get to them to test them, so we went ahead and just put new coils in. I'll leave a link in the description for those. So go ahead and put your coils in and bolt all 6 of them back down and make sure they're all secure and all plugged in. So this is the part number for the coil that I use. And I'll be sure to put a link in the description for that. So now that we got all the coils bolted back down and plugged in, we need to clean the surface here before we put our intake back on. After that, we're going to pick out the old intake gasket here and also pick out the throttle body gasket and replace it with new ones. I'll leave a link in the description for both of those. So now we're ready to put the intake back in. But before we do, we need to plug in the brake booster hose right here in the back. So you make sure you plug that in, put the clamp back on. Now that the booster hose is plugged in, now you can take the wiring harness here, push it back towards the firewall like that. Now you can rotate your intake back into position and drop it straight down. Now that you got the manifold in position, now you can start all the bolts, and then we're going to torque them all down with a torque wrench. And you're going to do it in a crisscross pattern, and you're going to do it at 11 foot-pounds. So you're going to start in the middle and work your way towards the back like this, and then you'll work your way towards the front. Now that the manifold is torqued back down, we're going to take this little bracket back here and re-bolt it back up. And my little clips here actually pop back in, so if yours did that, you may have to pop them back out to get to the bolts underneath and start those up and tighten those up. Now I'm going to work my way towards the front and bolt up the vacuum canister here with the 12mm bolt, plug in the electrical connector for the vacuum switch. So now that the wire loom is bolted in, the vacuum canister is bolted up, the vacuum switch is plugged in. Now you can make your way around towards the front here and plug in the vacuum line that went onto the throttle body, bolt up the throttle body. Now that the vent line is re-secure, the throttle body is re-secure, we're going to move around here and bolt up the 12mm bolts for the support brackets here and here. You can go ahead and put the vent line back here in the back of the manifold on and put the clamp on. I'm going to re-bolt the air snorkel onto the throttle body, plug in the vent line onto the air snorkel and bolt it up to the air box. Now that you got the vent line back on, you can go ahead and tighten up the hose clamps here and here. Now you can re-secure the two 10mm bolts. And then you can put the top cover on. And these little rubber grommets here and here, they push on over this bolt here and here. So you'll put the cover on, line it up, and then you'll push straight down until you hear it click into place. And then you'll start the two bolts. And that'll complete the job of replacing the spark plugs on a 2005 through 2015 Nissan Xterra with the 4.0 liter V6. I'm Brian Essett from How to Automotive. I'd like to thank you guys for watching my videos. Encourage you to subscribe. Invite you to head over to the howtoautomotive.com website for more valuable videos like this. And also to remind you that I'll link up all the parts and tools that I use in this video. Thank you again for watching.